Hey, you. Welcome back. My name's Jack, the snack that smiles back. You must be here to find out who the a-holes are today. Well, I'll provide the stories, you provide the... everything else, and let's get started. God, it's beautiful, but it's so hot. Just like you. This story, a two-parter by Harrison Berserk. Am I the a-hole for bailing on my promise to sew my future sister-in-law's wedding dress? That makes more sense. My brother and future sister-in-law, Jesus, had planned on getting married by the end of June, but COVID happened. Long before that, he had requested from me, as a wedding gift, to sew the wedding dress of my sister-in-law. I am by no means a professional, but I can do simple stuff rather nicely. I already sew stuff for my family and friends as gifts regularly. Little outfits for the kids or cosplays. Easy stuff that can be worn even if there are a few defects on it. They had planned on a no-frill wedding with close family and friends only, and my sister-in-law had her eyes on a flowing, layered, Grecian tunic-style dress. Rather easy to do and not too expensive as far as materials needed, so I agreed. But with the lockdown, well, things got complicated. Lockdown started here on March, so we were unable to get the fittings down, example, and pretty soon they realized the wedding would have to be postponed. My sister-in-law lost it, really, crying and screaming and everything. Nothing we could do or say could calm her down, until my brother asked her what she wanted to do instead, and she said she wanted now a big wedding as a compensation. I mean, well, okay, I get her frustration, I really do. But the main reason they were having a small wedding was to save on some bucks to renovate the house and such. But that's none of my business, I know. My brother relented, and now they are planning a big thing for 2021. Sister-in-law sent me her new requirements. She wants a full skirt, silk, bodiced, lined, embroidered, trained, the whole princess gig dress. That, of course, I would still pay for in full for the materials. I told her I didn't feel I could do it, that it was too complicated for my skills. She went ballistic, said I was lying, that I had done complicated things before, and that it was just nothing more than a couple more stitches. I have been trying to explain to my brother, because she doesn't want to speak to me anymore, as I am conspiring to ruin her wedding, that I do not feel able to do it. His solution is that I buy the wedding dress she wants, or I wouldn't be invited to the wedding. Oh, wow, really? Great brother. So I said, okay. I said I wouldn't go, because I couldn't do what they asked me. I can't sew that dress, and I certainly cannot pay for what she wants. I'm now the heartless big sis who doesn't approve of her little bro's wedding/wife, and honestly, I just want to tell them all to go stitch their two big mouths closed. So that was the first part. I'm obviously going to stand by the fact she is not the a-hole here. The sister-in-law is totally an a-hole. I don't care how much you care about weddings. That doesn't excuse how you treat anyone in your family, let alone anyone in some industry regarding weddings. Natar all the way, but let's see what happened in the update. Now that story was over a month ago, so let's see how things changed. So, a lot of things happened. After a few requests, this is the kind of things I had promised. Like one of you so nicely said, mostly my sewing style is full-on Monet. The farther you are, the best it looks. But for the love of everything that is nice in the world, don't look at it too closely. And here's it for reference. Those are the pics she sent me as examples of what she wanted. Lace, beadworks, embroidery, etc. I went to my parents on Sunday. They understood very quickly the huge difference in skill set required to fulfill the new request. They also discovered the wondrous world of AliExpress and Wish counterfeit designer wedding dresses, because that's where they had gotten their price range ideas, and quite a few laughs were had over the expectation/reality pics I found. We also went over the extra costs of the new wedding, and I just advised to be careful, as we didn't even know yet what would be possible with the epidemic threat still lurking around. 2 days later, my brother stopped by them, and before I could see him IRL, accompanied by future sister-in-law. Keep in mind, too, that this is a recap of what I have been told happened by my parents. I wasn't there for that. Our parents did take my side on the dress story, and at first it seems that my future sister-in-law heard them out until they said they weren't sure they could chip in the extra costs of a store-bought princess dress. Then, again, I wasn't there, this is what they told me happened. My sister-in-law silently mouthed out a very foul word towards my mother, and my dad saw her. All hell broke loose. For a couple of weeks, everyone was screaming at everyone else. My bro not really siding with his wife-to-be, nor our parents. Our dad doesn't want anything to do with future sister-in-law at all, ever. Mum is more hopeful that a nice apology and explanations could bend the fences. I still haven't been able to catch my brother face to face. He called, and it ended up rather sour since he threw my celibate status at my face as a symbol of failure. But he did later send me an apology text saying he loved me, wanted me at his wedding no matter what, and he would understand should I not want to sew the original dress anyway. Sweet revenge. My dad was so incensed at what had happened that he took me to the fabric shop the very next day and told me to go wild and get yourself enough fabric for a princess dress. So, one pattern and 3 weeks of intense self-challenging later, it's full of mistakes and crooked sewing, but it was made with the ardent fever of self-righteousness. Here it is! And I swear to the heavens that if she doesn't apologize to my parents, I will wear this at her wedding. Your parents sound like great parents. The sister-in-law deserves to get the wedding called off, but if she doesn't, then wear that dress to honor your parents and tick the sins off more. Nailed it. Great update. I suppose what goes around comes around. Honestly, the sister-in-law got what she deserved. Honestly, regarding the original story, how she went ballistic just because the wedding got postponed due to coronavirus, and suddenly it's up to everyone else to compensate for that by making her get a bigger wedding? No, she's not marriage material, sir. The wedding clearly isn't about the brother and sister-in-law becoming one. It's about her looking pretty and to boast about it. I mean, I get when you're doing something fancy, you want to look the part. But clearly, based on how she reacted to it all, she's more invested in everything being splashed out for her than actually, who she's gonna get married to. Like, come on, save the money for the house and everything, jeez. Honestly, word of advice. If your fiancé wants to spend more money on a wedding than on any long-term investments you're doing together or on your honeymoon, they care more about the wedding and how they look all glammed and pretty and stuff than actually, getting with you. It just becomes all about them. Oh, hello. Hi. Just noticed you're quite a bit into the video. About more than 30 seconds. If you could like it, that'd be beautiful. Just like you. This story by Individual Bedroom 64. Am I the a-hole for ruining my friend's reputation? Throw away for obvious reasons. I have a history with one of my now best friends, Mark. We dated on and off early in college. We stopped seeing each other around the end of my senior year, about 7 years ago now. After we both agreed we felt we were better off as friends. We're currently in a group chat with several other friends from our college days and talk regularly. About 2 weeks ago, Mark called me asking for some relationship advice because his girlfriend Anna was apparently having some self-esteem issues. I don't know Anna well, but I agreed to hear him out and see if I could help either of them in any way. It came out that Anna was down on herself because she'd seen nudes of more or less of all of Mark's ex-girlfriends, including me. I was totally horrified. I kind of started crying and asked how that had happened. Assuming my photos had been leaked somewhere, I started asking where online Anna had seen the pictures. Turns out, Mark has nudes from all his exes still saved on one of his laptops. He gave me a big, convoluted story about what was going on and his reasoning, but I hardly heard most of it because I was so shocked. I made an excuse and got off the call because I was so upset and starting to tear up. I didn't, and still don't know why Mark would do something like this. It felt like such a violation, especially since it sounded like there were so many other girls in his folder. Without even thinking, I immediately went to the group chat and typed something along the lines of, "If you ever had a relationship with Mark, you need to contact him right now and find out if he's distributing your intimate photos. He's a creep," before leaving the chat, turning my phone off, and bawling in the shower. When I turned my phone on again, I had a ton of messages. Lots of people asking if I needed to talk, but some people saying it was fricked up and sketchy for me to drop a bomb and then leave, basically not trusting me because I was a jerk. This made me question whether I reacted appropriately. Mark is apologetic, but in the type of way where he clearly doesn't really care or understand what he did. Was I the a-hole for calling Mark the creep? Not the a-hole. You could have reacted better, but distributing nudes is a massive a-hole and creep move. That's all that needs to be said, really. Well said. Also, knowing that he still has, and therefore probably still gets off on, his old girlfriend's photos is beyond creepy. Sounds more like a serial killer's trophy collection than a hobby of a normal guy. Yeesh. Ew, no. He has no right to keep his ex-girlfriend's nudes. Better be safe than sorry, and those who call you fricked up for exposing Mark have never had that happen to them. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. What he did is disgusting, and he has private photos of their exes, which is disgusting, but even more gross that he didn't even get their consent. He doesn't look like he'll stop and grow up, so that is the best option. You did the right thing, OP. I'll always agree to the idea. I mean, I've always done it in my relationships too. Once I've broken up with someone, delete their nudes. Just out of respect. Any intimate photos you've taken together or gotten from each other, you get rid of, out of respect. Regardless of how you broke up, it's... The only excuse I could understand is maybe he thought he deleted them all, but he didn't delete every single source. Now, this is where I kind of have to go on his side of things, though. Maybe I didn't realize that I read it, but where did he ever say or prove that he was distributing photos around, specifically their nudes? I'm reading through it, I can't see where he said he was, like, sharing it around for people to see. He mentions that his current girlfriend just stumbled upon them, but that's not the same as coming across some sort of message group where they're shared as attached files. I think a lot of this has got to do with assuming what he's been doing with them, rather than why he still has them. This next comment explains where I'm coming from a bit more thoroughly. I understand your behavior, but I think your reaction was not justified. We and you don't know the full story, since you did not really listen to his explanation. Maybe he just had a folder with all of the photos from different periods, and some of them happened to be nudes. Maybe it was not like he had separate folders and was collecting them as you collect Pokemons, but maybe he did. We don't know. The same goes for you saying he could be distributing them. From your description, it sounds like he did not, and she simply found the photos by accident snooping on his laptop. It is not like he was showing them to her or anyone, or maybe he was. We don't know. In conclusion, you acted not knowing the full story and indicating he distributes nude and saying he is a creep without actually knowing that's the case, which, in my opinion, makes you an a-hole. I am not sure how big of an a-hole he is, since I don't know if he was collecting them, or simply had somewhere on his old laptop and forgot to delete them or something, but in the end, it is his fault. So I will go with everyone sucks here. What do you think, though? You think that he's right to be defended, or do you think he has no excuse and they should try to get the cops on him for possible revenge porn? Let me know. Story by a throwaway who loves the number 2, but also acknowledges 7's existence. Am I the a-hole for not obeying apartment rules? So, I moved into a new apartment recently, and my manager cannot stop bothering me about absolutely everything. 1. I am not allowed to keep my drawing easel on the balcony, even though that's where I paint. He said that if I do not take it off, I will be fined $300. What? Why? Where does it say that I'm not allowed? It's my balcony. 2. I am not allowed to store my bike inside my apartment, bothered by my pushing the bike in and out of the apartment. I mean, really? My bike took a huge chunk out of my wallet as a student, and I am not risking my bike on a terribly bolted bike crack that is in a rather unsecured area. 3. I am not allowed to have a picnic outside of the apartment's complex's front public yard. Not to mention, he seems to be following me and watching the cameras to find me. Every time he is catching up to me to complain about something, he is out of breath like he was looking for me. After we talk, I never follow what he asks me to do. I feel scared and worried now whenever I leave or enter that he will chase after me and complain about something that I'm doing. I don't know if I'm the a-hole here. Are there serious regulations that make it so I can get fined for these things? It's ridiculous to me. I've never had such big problems living anywhere else. I mean, I pay the rent, so I should be able to do what I need to do. I'm not disturbing anyone. honestly, half of those things definitely come across as them just being petty and probably just trying to force you out through peer pressure. Look into your lease agreement and tenancy laws in your state or area and your building bylaws. Seriously, those things aren't made just to protect landlords. They protect you from being unfairly kicked out of your place as well. About those requirements, it depends on what is written in your lease agreement. If it says no bike in apartment, then you are not allowed to keep your bike there. As for easel, I paint too, and I make sure I cover anything in nearish vicinity with painter's tape or plastic, and I still get some paint on surfaces, so I would understand the landlord. Nonetheless, his behavior is totally not acceptable and is harassment. In your place, I would really look for other places to rent, not the a-hole. His problem is more of, nothing should be on the balconies at all. He doesn't want the easel there in general because it's not pretty or that I'm simply using it for storage. I saw absolutely nothing on the lease agreement about bikes at all. Just to clarify, there is a bike room. The bike room is just terrible. I can't afford to lose a bike. There you go. If it's not mentioned on the lease or any of bylaws, then you are free to do what you want. Usually you cannot bring your bike to the flat if there is a bike room in the building. What you can do is ask the landlord to improve security. Example, put a lock whose key is given only to tenants who have a bike, etc. Check if there is a clause in the tenancy agreement or in the set of building rules. This is a good point. I do know when it comes to public utilities in an apartment complex, if said public utilities aren't working properly, you are free not to use them. And if in this case you require them as for security and storing things, you are free to store your things somewhere else that you find acceptable and is, well, your property. So putting your bike in your apartment because you can see that the bike lock area is just not safely secured is a fair thing to do. What I would do is take photos of the bike room space, specifically the areas that prove that it has very little or no decent security whatsoever. And send an email, like an email that proves that you have mentioned this to the landlord and that you request it be fixed so you can put your bike there. Therefore, if they try and do anything in the future legally or fine-wise regarding your bike in your apartment, you not only have proof that you've mentioned it and asked them to fix it, but also a date when you asked them to fix it. Basically, it covers your back. I cannot stress it enough, people. Understand your lease agreements and your local laws regarding tenancy. There are a lot of things out there that landlords get away with, and a lot of things you don't realize you shouldn't have to deal with if you have terrible fellow tenants. Hello. That does us for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you're looking at my face right now, that means you liked this video. So all I appreciate is if you would like the video back. Because if you like it, then I'll like you for liking the video, and then I can make more stuff for you to like that you can like, and it'll be just a constant cycle of never-ending pain and suffering. So don't do it alone. Suffer with me. I don't know where I was going with that. If you haven't subscribed but you want to see some more content, then please, what are you waiting for? Click that notification bell so you're always updated on the latest content. And hey, why not check out some other videos while you're here? But anyway, that does me for today. Thank you again for watching. You're an amazing person. I love rambling at you, and I look forward to you staring at me beyond the abyss again soon. I can't close well. Don't at me, okay? My name's been Jack. Bye-bye. You're amazing. See ya!